I can tell you that getting in and out of Zoom is sometimes the first hurdle. So I appreciate that. Hello, everyone. My name is Merle Massey. I'm the coordinator for undergraduate research here at the University of Saskatchewan. And this is the first of our summer 2022 entrepreneurship series, which is split into 6 and 4. So there are 6 webinars that are going to be rolling out. Most of them are on Mondays. This one's on Tuesday, but most of the other ones are on Monday mornings to get your week set off really well. And then we have a series of 4 live lunch and learns, and those are going to be starting not this Friday, but next Friday, so June 10th, and over in the Health Sciences Library, just so you know where you're going on campus. So the new Health Sciences building has a beautiful Health Sciences Library. The Granite Room is on the main floor. It's just sort of opposite the main desk, and that's where we are going to be holding them. As far as I know, that everything seems to be in order. So we have a series of 4 live lunch and learns with 4 guest speakers that are going to be speaking. But the 6 webinars, this is the first of our 6 webinars, and with us we have Jenelyn Santos Ong, and Jenelyn is with Research Excellence and Innovation. And we'll be talking to us about Business Basics 101, which is fantastic. I'm so excited. Jenelyn, over to you.
Thank you so much, Merle. And fun fact, this is actually my first presentation as part of the University of Saskatchewan. So very excited to be here.
We're delighted to have you. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us and for organizing this whole series of entrepreneurship over the whole summer.
Yes, my pleasure. And definitely a lot of things in terms of entrepreneurship that we can be doing here on campus. So I'm excited to be part of this. I know you guys have been doing this for a while, a couple of years, right?
This is the second year, yeah.
Second year, yes. Second year with the entrepreneurship series. So really glad that people are interested in entrepreneurship and that we're going to be building entrepreneurship even more here on campus. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I just need to find it. I think there it is. Okay, is everyone able to see? It says Opus Incubating SaaS Startups, Business Basics 101.
Looks great.
Fantastic. All right. So yes, thanks, Merle. As I said, so excited to be here and to talk about entrepreneurship, the basics of business entrepreneurship and what every aspiring entrepreneur should know. So let's get started. Okay, so I have a little agenda here for you. Oh, if it works, we'll try that again. There we go. A little slow on my network here. Sorry about that. So today we're going to start things off with a little introduction before we go into discussing what is entrepreneurship and what are some of the characteristics of an entrepreneur. Next, we'll move on to the bulk of today's content, which is on business basics, and really get you thinking about sort of those factors that you should be considering and that you should be looking into when it comes to starting a venture. And then end off with a few resources, tips, and the Q&A sessions. So have pen ready, paper to go, by your computer, write down any questions you have, and I'd be happy to answer them at the end. Okay, so with a little introduction, off we go. So a little bit about me. Hello, everyone. My name is Jenelyn, as Merle said, and I am the program coordinator of the university's new startup incubator called Opus. So, oh, that one didn't work either. Technical difficulties today, I tell you. So my background is actually rooted in marketing, communications, and economic development with a focus on entrepreneurship. I've also co-founded and sold a small business called Kinderbuzz Publishing. And previously, I was the director of entrepreneurship at Strida, where I oversaw the SaaS Startup Institute Small Business Services Program and created several new initiatives, such as speed networking events, pitch competitions, and business boot camps to help entrepreneurs grow their ventures. I am most proud, however, of being a mother to 2 teenagers, amazing teenagers, and a wife to a very supportive husband. They're very shy, so I couldn't put their picture up, but that is me. So what brought me to the university? Well, let me show you. And I hope this works. well, as it's loading, what brought me to university is really the opportunity to help build something new on campus. And that is that startup incubator called Opus. Oh, I really wish this was working. Opus is a pre-accelerator program designed to better prepare USask founders for entry into external accelerators and incubators and towards launching a new startup venture. So it will provide the necessary infrastructure. I'm just going to pause this video there because that is bothering me. Oh, there we go. Yay, Opus. So as I was saying, Opus is going to provide the necessary access to infrastructure, programming, mentors, and a network of experts to help build successful startups on campus. So USask students, faculty, staff, and recent alumni will learn to build, you guys will learn to build your business acumen through a series of hands-on workshops, webinars, boot camps, and events to help with your networking skills there. This year's pilot program is focusing on aspiring entrepreneurs with deep tech innovations. So deep tech innovations are STEM-related technologies, usually centered in significant scientific and advanced engineering innovations that are backed by research and are based on proprietary, potentially proprietary intellectual property or IP. So the pilot program is actually going to be starting in a couple weeks, and our applications have closed. We have our first cohort of incubees ready to go that are going to be part of this 8-month pilot program. So an opportunity for you to learn more on that. You can do so by joining our online community to get updates on Opus news and entrepreneurship related activities happening on campus. So the website is opus.usask.ca. We'll share that at the end as well too. So entrepreneurship at the university, what is going on? So Opus is part of the university's overall growing entrepreneurship ecosystem, helping to build entrepreneurial thinking on campus. So you can see here, we have a list of curricular, co-curricular, as well as the external commercialization programs and initiatives that are available to you being on campus. Some are college specific and others are through OVPR. So great initiatives and great programming such as the Sure Summer Series here that can help you build your entrepreneurial mindset. So let's talk entrepreneurship. First, we'll discuss what entrepreneurship is and really start thinking about what are some of those traits that an entrepreneur has. I think this is going to be the most I've ever said entrepreneur in entrepreneurship. So management guru Peter Drucker defined entrepreneurship as a discipline that can be learned. And that's good news because that's exactly why you're here today. You want to learn about entrepreneurship and what it takes to potentially start a local venture like that. So Peter says most of what you hear about entrepreneurship is all wrong. It's not magic, it's not mysterious, and it has nothing to do with genes. So it's a discipline, and like any discipline, it can be learned. That's very, very happy to hear about that. Very inspiring, because what that means is if this is something that you want, this is something that you can learn to do. And there are ways to go about doing that. Now, when it comes to an entrepreneur, there are different terms when describing an entrepreneur. But, and you can see here, we have some terms such as maker, creator, proprietor, founder, inventor, operator. All of these terms describe what an entrepreneur is, but the simplest definition of an entrepreneur is essentially someone who organizes, manages, and assumes the risks of a business. So those risks include monetary, legal, social, and other risks that are associated with it. The thing to think about here too, there are definitely advantages and disadvantages to being an entrepreneur. It's a lifestyle that is different from a typical 9-to-5 job, or for some of you, like the work that you do within the labs. You know, I know you do a lot of work in the labs and you do a lot of research, and you know, there's times where you go long hours. The entrepreneurship lifestyle is definitely that, but you're going to be wearing a lot more hats and doing a lot more activities there. So entrepreneurship, it's not for everybody. However, it's very, very rewarding. So Bill Olay, he's the author of A Disciplined Entrepreneurship and the managing director of the Martin Trust Center for MIT Entrepreneurship. And he actually distinguishes between two types of entrepreneurs. The first type of entrepreneur are what they call small, medium enterprises, those entrepreneurs that own those small, medium businesses, and they serve the local market. The other type of entrepreneur that he's identified are the innovation-driven entrepreneurs. So these entrepreneurs serve the global market. So let's go back to small, medium enterprises. When it comes to SMEs, typically they would serve the local market and don't need a lot to invest. Don't need to invest a lot into it in order for the business to launch. A great example of this would be a restaurant, a local restaurant, or local IT service firm, local professional services, those kinds of things. So that's what a small, medium enterprise entrepreneur is. There is linear business growth. However, you will eventually come to the point where the business won't be growing as much. But as a small, medium enterprise entrepreneur, you will have more control over the enterprise. It can be also a family business if you choose to, and you can choose to keep the equity for yourself and just for yourself, if that's the case. On the opposite end, the innovation-driven entrepreneurs. So examples of these are Google, Amazon, Apple. So they serve the global or super regional market. Definitely, there's more investment that is required in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of research. It takes a long time to see these results. And typically, I would say on average, about 5 to 10 years after the business is launched in order for you to even see a return on your investment. But with this innovation-driven entrepreneur, you'll need to invest definitely more time, more money, more research. And also, this is probably more so the type of entrepreneurship some of you who are researchers would probably end up pursuing. With regards to the Opus Incubator, definitely the deep tech innovations, that is innovation driven, that is looking to serve the global market, and that's going to take longer to build up, but the Opus team will be here to help you out with that. So there's a common school of thought that entrepreneurship can be taught, which is, as I said, as Peter Drucker pointed out, and there's also this thing called that entrepreneurial mindset, that many of you have probably heard that term, that is so sought after by so many people, including employers, because they want their employees to have this entrepreneurial mindset because there's just so much more innovation happening, right? So researchers and academics have been trying to uncover what exactly these traits are within that entrepreneurial mindset. And in 2010, the Journal of Entrepreneurship published an article called The 5 Minds for the Entrepreneurial Future by Thomas N. Dunning, and I apologize if I say his name incorrectly, that outlines, Thomas outlined 5 cognitive skills that entrepreneurs have. These are the 5 skills that are very common in successful entrepreneurs. So just keep this in mind, not saying that all entrepreneurs have to have this, but these are just those common traits and characteristics. So if any of these, as you're listening to any of these and they apply to you and you realize, oh yeah, I do have that, well, maybe you're on track to become an entrepreneur as well. So let's start with the first mindset, the opportunity recognizing mind. Okay, so essentially what this means is that an entrepreneur has this ability to continually see opportunities not just opportunities, but opportunities that can be monetized, right? That's what the opportunity recognizing mind is all about. The second trait is the designing mind. So with a designing mind, an entrepreneur integrates many different elements into the design of a business. So you've probably heard the term wearing many hats. Well, it doesn't just mean carrying out a particular business activity or several business activities on different times and dates and all that. But what it is that the entrepreneur has to design the product, the service, the team, the operations, the strategy of the business. And this is a unique capability that differs from a traditional business professional who typically only performs one function in a business. So for example, sales, right? So that designing mind is really unique to entrepreneurs. So the third trait is the risk managing mind. So you've probably heard entrepreneurs, they take risks, right? They're known for taking risks. But yes, they take risks. However, they're taking calculated risks. And they're not taking risks all the time, but rather they're managing risk. They're managing strategic risks. And what they do is they actually are able to also see future challenges and those future risks that may come up. So that's what the risk managing mind trait is all about. The fourth trait is the resilient mind. So resiliency is a big buzzword that everyone has heard, especially once COVID hit and we were all forced to go home and then come back and go home and come back. So you're all very familiar with what being resilient is all about. Entrepreneurs repeatedly deal with failure though. And so they really need to be tolerant of it. They need to be able to face it on a daily basis. And most importantly, they need to learn from it. That's what being resilient is all about. The last trait is the effectuating mind. So this refers to how entrepreneurs are very action-oriented, and they always are able to provide or create a value to the market. So for example, you often hear that you need a business plan in order to launch a startup. Many entrepreneurs do write a business plan, but they use it as a guide. They take that guide, implement those products and services, go out into the field, validate, talk to customers, and then they learn from their environment and they adjust the plan accordingly. So what that is really like an ongoing feedback loop. And that's what that effectuating mind is, being able to adapt to that feedback loop and adjusting it where necessary, and really being able to listen and then sort of pivot in a way to what the market is telling you. So those are the 5 minds for the entrepreneurial future. Some of that mindset to keep in mind. So now that you have an idea of what entrepreneurship is and what common traits entrepreneurs have, let's get into the foundation of starting a venture and those business basics, okay? So from ideation, I'm going to take you through market research and analysis, through to business planning, funding, other strategies, and the legal considerations for your business that you have to think about if you're going to become an entrepreneur. I will point out though, these are very introductory concepts. I'm not going to deep dive into these concepts, however, as just more of an introduction for you. And we do have some other upcoming entrepreneurship series workshops, or sorry, webinars that you can attend, and where our RAI team will do a deeper dive into all these concepts. All right, so in order to start a business, what do you need? I wish I could ask you guys, and I wish you could all reply back. Oh, I miss being in person. But in order to start business, it's not necessarily money that you need. It's not necessarily a team that you need. It's not a business plan that you need. What you need is an idea, right? It's important to know that the most successful businesses solve a problem. So keep in mind that ideas are just that, ideas. However, once your business idea and you have a solution, you have a problem, that business idea becomes a solution to that problem. You need a problem to solve for your idea in order to turn that idea into a business venture, right? The best ideas are those ones that solve a problem. Keep that in mind, always. So how do you determine if your idea solves a problem? Well, what you're going to do is research, right? You guys are all used to this, right? But it's a different type of research, okay? You really need to do your research to find out whether or not your idea is a good one and if it's feasible, right? So the most effective way to assess your business idea is to conduct market research and analyze your market, your company, your potential venture, that is, the industry that you're in, as well as your competition. So when you're looking at your market is what we call the target, your target customer, right? Okay, you're going to have an overall target market, and then within that market, there's going to probably be segments, right? So when you're looking at analyzing and researching your target market, your target customer, what you can do is create a target profile to help you determine who your customer is. So when you're thinking about who your customer is, think about what their demographics are. So their age, their gender, their income, their education, what their behavioral buying habits are. So what causes them to buy? What causes them not to buy? What do they support? What do they believe in, right? Also, you should be looking into their psychographics. So psychographics are those goals that they have, those beliefs, those fears, those things that they're thinking of, right? That will factor in as to whether or not they will buy your product or service. And of course, you got to take a look at the overall market size, those segments that I mentioned about, and even such things as geographic factors. There needs to be a big enough market size and a large enough segment in order for you to have a viable business. You have to have a customer. So you need to know who your market is. That is your customer. The next thing you can do is a SWOT analysis of you and your company. So SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So just for those of you who are unfamiliar with a SWOT analysis, really what you're doing here is looking internally at your strengths and weaknesses. And then also think about how will you overcome those weaknesses. And then also looking externally at the opportunities and threats. And then also thinking about your business objectives, your goals, you know, your 1 year goals, your 3 year, your 5 year. You really need to do an assessment of that, of you and your company to see where you're at and where you need to go. As part of that external analysis, you should also be conducting an analysis of your industry. So you can use a tool called a PESTLE analysis, and PESTLE stands for political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal external factors that will help you identify the major forces that can affect your profitability in your business, right? So I can give you some examples. Let's say you're in the restaurant industry, just so everyone is familiar with restaurants and food. Political factor that could affect the restaurant industry would be, let's see here, maybe just the barring of certain ingredients that aren't allowed. Political factors could be, sometimes it could be a, let's say your restaurant business, their target market are politicians. And so during an election period, during the writ, the restaurant can't sell catering to the politicians, because at that time, politicians aren't allowed to buy certain types of products and all that. So That's an example of a political factor. Economic, so with less income, there's not as much money to spend on restaurants, and so therefore that'll decrease your income as a restaurant. Social, the trend towards supporting local. So if your restaurant is a franchise, there may be some factors there that is going to affect your income, your revenue there. Technological, skip the dishes is an easy one. When skip the dishes came, now it changed the way that you were distributing your food and your catering there. Environmental, coming up, the government has issued that single-use plastics are going to be banned. They've already extended it 2 years, but by the end of next year, 2023, all restaurants cannot be using single-use plastics. So that's going to increase costs for your restaurant, right? And then legal. Let's see. Again, the environmental issue one that I said about the single-use plastics could be a legal factor as well, and it is going to be because it's going to be regulation, or it is regulation, but even just the legalization of cannabis. So that might provide an opportunity for your restaurant to provide cannabis products. Okay, so yeah. Right. So with that, your market, your company, your industry, then don't forget to look at your competition, right? And when I say competition, I'm talking about both direct and indirect competitors. What you want to do is analyze what they're doing well and what they're not doing so well. Also take a look at what services and features that they have. What are those services and features that they lack? So what you can do is use a tool called the Zigzag Analysis. So where your competition is zigging, then you're going to be zagging, right? So knowing who your customer is and also knowing who your customer isn't is one of the first rules of entrepreneurship, okay? If you don't have a buying customer, then you don't have a business. And you can learn more about how to assess a business idea using market research at the June 6th Sure webinar with Christine from our REI team. And I see that there's some questions in the chat here. Oh, I think that's yours. Oh.
Yeah, it's just me. I just pop things in the chat as you're going.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that. All right, so we're going to move on to from market research and analysis. The next thing you have to think about now, after you completed your market research and analysis, is your business plan. Okay, so again, a business plan serves as your plan of action. It is a guide, and a guide that will help you validate your idea. So in it, you outline the market research and analysis that you just completed, along with the typical components that I've listed here on the slide. So a business plan is also required if you're applying for a business loan or a government grant, and sometimes even contests require business plans, because when you fill out an application for a contest or a submission for a contest, they're going to be asking you such things as, who is your target market? Who is your customer? What makes your business unique or different? How are you going to reach out to your customers? Those kinds of things. So you can get that all in your business plan. Again, a typical business plan, it varies now, but I would say they can be anywhere from maybe 10 to 35 pages. Luckily, there's a lot of resources out there that can help you with business planning. Some online resources that provide free business plan templates. There's some classes that you can take even here at the university with regards to business planning. So definitely, if you want to learn more about business planning, you can feel free to reach out to me and I can provide you with those resources. But again, these are the typical sections you would find in a business plan. So while the business plan outlines your business strategy and expected financial performance, your business model, however, explains how you will position yourself and provide value to your customers. Okay, so a useful tool to help you develop your business model is the business model canvas. So here I've shown you the picture of the business model canvas. The business model canvas is a type of lean startup modeling tool. And as you can see here, it is a one-page document divided into 9 sections. So the right side of the canvas focuses on the customer. So that's over here, customer relationships, segments, channels, revenue streams. And then whereas the left side of the canvas, key activities, resources, and partners, focus on the operations of the business. So what the business model does is it really helps you to quickly visualize what your business is going to require and forces you to think about how the different sections are interconnected. This is a great way to see how you can innovate. A lot of businesses use the business model canvas because it is quicker than redoing your business plan and just seeing, okay, where is it that's working, where is it not working, where can we innovate and be different from the competition. So the business model canvas gives you the opportunity to do that quickly. So here I sort of did like a quick layout of how the business model canvas works. Typically, you would start with value propositions. So this is the benefit or value you're providing to your customer. So again, thinking about, what is it that that the customer, why would the customer buy from you, right? This is the value proposition that you're offering to them. And then you would connect that to the different customer segments, as you can see here. And then then you would go into the relationships. What kind of relationship are you going to have with that customer? And then the channel. What are the different channels or the ways of distributing your product or service to those customers? And then a lot of people then like to consider the revenue streams that would come from these sections. So you'll have several revenue streams. One of them may even be like just the freemium, model, right? So it's still a stream because it's zero revenue stream, but it's still a stream because of the fact that you're gaining users, customers in that way. Then you would take a look at the left side of the canvas to uncover the key resources, activities, and partners that you need, right? So again, it would all be interconnected, depending on what the value proposition is, what the segment is. Some of them may have the same activities, reaching to the same two different customer segments. Some may only have one, and then from there, it will then help you determine what that cost structure is. Okay, so if you want to know how to use the business model canvas, I believe it's July 11th, and I'm pretty sure Merle will put it in the chat, where our REI team will be presenting on the introduction to business model canvas, and we have Chris representing and presenting on that. So one of our tech transfer managers. All right, so we talked about business planning. We talked about the business model. Within that business plan, you also need to know about marketing. Okay, so marketing can be, you can talk about marketing in terms of the 4 Ps. So which is what I have listed here. 4 Ps. The first P being product or service or offering. The second being place or distribution, the third being price, and the fourth being promotion. Okay, so that product or service, it's really that solution to the problem that you're solving, right? So in tech-based ventures, you'll hear the term minimum viable product or MVP a lot. It's the version, what that is, it's the version of a new product that allows a team or the founders to collect the maximum amount of validated learning about customers, right? With the least amount of effort, least cost, right? So MVPs are easy. They should be easier to make, not poorer, but easier to make. They would be, inexpensive or cheap, and would only take anywhere from a few days to a few weeks to build. And that is typical within a tech-based venture. right? So the point here, though, with the minimum viable product is that it's not supposed to be good the first time around. What it is the MVP is allowing you to go out and talk to customers and get that feedback loop, right? So that you can figure out whether or not that product or service will solve the problem that you're looking to solve. MVPs allow you to validate your product. So the second P is place. So place, distribution, these are the ways that you're going to be selling to your customers. Okay, so is it going to be online? Is it going to be in a retail store? Is it going to be through distributors? Is it going to be through Amazon? And you can be in more than one distribution channel for sure. It could also be like geographic location. So that's something you also have to think about when it comes to your product, your service, and how you're going to be marketing your business. So that's place and distribution. Price is always a thing. However, do not try to compete on price, because it's going to be too hard to keep up, because anybody can just lower their price to compete with you. However, there is certain things you need to consider when developing the price for your product or service. Such things as how much it's going to cost you to make that product or service. How much is it going to cost you to promote that product or service? How much are your customers willing to buy, willing to pay to buy for your product or service? So there are a lot of things in there that you're thinking about. What are your competitors charging in terms of their product or service that are similar to yours? Those are several factors that you'd have to consider when developing your price. But luckily there's also formulas out there that can help you develop your pricing on this. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to the fourth and last P, which is promotion. So promotion is all about the messaging, the marketing, and the marketing activities, how you're going to get the word out there that your product and service is available and it's ready for buying, and here's why. Right, so those are the different things when you think about promotion. Are you going to be, is it through website? Is it through print? Is it through social media? All those things. That's all part of the promotional part. Looking at my time here, I think we're doing okay. Okay, so next, you have to think about building your team, and you really got to think about it from the very beginning. You don't necessarily have to have a team right away, but definitely, you know, you're probably going to be looking at potential co-founders, because really, when you're looking at building your team, you need to have a balance of skills. And these are just so a couple of people that we just pulled out there, but you really need to have a balance of skills that are not just technical, but also non-technical. So you need that salesperson, right? You need that, yes, you need that product designer, you need that marketing person, you need that content developer, you need operations. Again, a balance of skills, technical and non-technical. Some team members may be employees, others are consultants. You could also look to mentors and peers as well, and get out there and network, and maybe that's where you'll find your co-founder at these events. Okay, you may hear that when it comes to co-founders, there's this thing called the Holy Trinity of the team, and it's there's three different terms that describes the members: hipster, hustler, and hacker. Sorry. So this is very common in tech-based ventures. The hipster is generally defined as the creative one, the very consumer-oriented, visionary one. The hacker is usually a strong, silent type, but they're a major problem solver and has a wealth of tools and knowledge to help solve problems. And then the hustler is the driving force behind the marketing, the sales, and the partnerships to help build and grow your business. So definitely keep that in mind when you're looking at your team, and whether or not you need a co-founder, especially with innovation-driven entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. Building a team is vital to that. All right, so you will need money for your business, right? So there are different types of funding available out there. Again, I'm not going to go into details on this, but I have listed here some of the funding options that are available to you if pursuing a venture is what you're looking to do. So non-diluted funding includes government grants, loans, subsidies, tax credits. So all those types of funding and financing where you don't have to give up any equity or ownership shares of your business. That's what non-dilutive funding is. That also includes commercial business financing, bootstrapping, putting your own money in, right? Or even asking money from family and friends. That's another type of funding source that you can look into. Diluted funding, though, would be those investments that comes from angel investors and venture capitalists who who invest in your business, but in exchange for that investment, they do ask for some equity into your business. So that's why it's called diluted funding. Other options as well, sources of funding are crowdsourcing. Incubators, some incubators out there, and I hope we become one of them as well too, but some incubators out there, they have pitch competitions where they do provide some funds to aspiring and inspiring entrepreneurs, and with the most opportunity. And then other pitch competitions, Startup Canada has it. A lot of the external incubators and accelerators have it as well too. So what you have to also think about are legal considerations, and these are the business setup steps for your business, right? So this includes choosing a business structure and business name, their licenses and permits. They also include any tax accounts that you need to open that apply to your business, as well as any employer obligations should you choose to hire employees. Within those legal considerations, a huge part of it, especially with innovation-driven entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship inventions, are intellectual property or IP, right? So you can find information about intellectual property through the Canadian Intellectual Property Office, or CIPO, through the Government of Canada website there. There you'll find information about all the different types of intellectual property that is available. So trademarks, they protect your company name, brand designs, sounds, even scents of your that's specific to your company. Patents, you guys are probably very familiar with, protect your rights as an inventor, so you can protect a new product that you've created. Copyright protects original literary, dramatic, musical, or artistic works like a book. Industrial design protects your distinctive product design. So for example, the shape of a computer monitor. Trade secrets are business information that has commercial value from keeping it as secret. Example of this would be recipes and plant breeders' rights. These protect new varieties of plants the same way an inventor can protect a new invention with a patent. So you can learn more and search for registered IP registrations at cipo.gc.ca, and our team, our REI team in the tech transfer office also has a wealth of knowledge and information that can point you in the right direction that way as well too. Okay, business structures. So I mentioned that you do have to decide on a business structure, and here you have 4 options to structure your business after. The first two, sole proprietorship and partnership, they have the same advantages and disadvantages. However, sole proprietorship just means one owner versus partnership means 2 or more owners. Corporation just need at least one owner. It's limited liability, separate legal entity from you versus a sole proprietorship or partnership where you are the business. So it's not separate from you personally. And then the other business structure is a cooperative, and that requires minimum 6 owners or more. Once you decide on a business structure, then it's time to decide on a business name. And there are certain criteria that you need for a business name. So part of it is that you need a distinctive and descriptive phrase in your business name, as well as a legal ending, which is specifically for corporations only. So I gave you an example here, Kinder Buzz Publishing Inc. Kinder Buzz is the distinctive phrase. Publishing is the descriptive because it describes what the business is, and Inc. is the legal ending. So some tips when choosing your business name: conduct a trademark search, go to cipo.gc.ca, do a simple Google search, find out what URLs are out there, find out what social media channels have already been taken that are similar to the business name that you're wanting or considering. And then also do a .ca, a domain name search too, just to make sure that nobody has that domain name, that www.name. And then once you're ready, then you can go on to to register your business name or incorporate your business name, depending on the structure that you've chosen, with Information Services Corporation. So that is at corporateregistry.isc.ca. Again, make sure that you've chosen a business structure first. It is a two-step process, beginning with the name search. And then the second part is the actual registration or incorporation of your business name. And there are fees associated with that. Permits and licenses. There are additional permits and licenses that you may need for your business. So you can go to bizpal.ca to find regional and industry licenses and permits. But always please make sure to check with your municipality and industry associations to confirm those permits and licenses. Everyone's favorite topic, taxes. Yay! There are several taxes in Canada that are applicable to entrepreneurs, such things as sales tax, PST, GST, income tax, for sole proprietorships and partnerships versus corporations, the corporate income tax, payroll deductions if you have employees. So that those include employment insurance and CPP, Canada pension deductions. So again, you can go to Saskatchewan Ministry of Finance for PST and provincial income tax inquiries, and then CRA for GST, personal income tax and corporate income tax inquiries, payroll deductions, and so on. The last thing to know with regards to business setup is your employer obligations. And these are set by the government of Saskatchewan. So you can go onto their website to learn all the things you need to know when it comes to being an employee. So it is your responsibility as the employee and entrepreneur to know what these obligations are, what the standards are, and that you must comply with them. Okay, I'm a little bit over time, so I'm going to quickly go through my resources and tips so that we can get going to some question and answer period. So obviously, first of all, research excellence, innovation. We have a great team there who has a wealth of knowledge and to help guide you to your pathway to commercialization, right? So definitely reach out to the REI team and the Office of the Vice President Research to even answer any of the questions that you may have. We're here to help you. Within the Saskatchewan entrepreneurship ecosystem, there are a number of organizations, and Opus being the newest one, that is helping build and support entrepreneurs within the province. So you probably are familiar with some of these. CoLabs and Cultivator are accelerators. Innovation Saskatchewan, Innovation Place, SAS Startup Institute, formerly known as Square One Small Business Services. They provide free services to all small, medium-sized businesses, and they have access to great market research data that you can get free. Futurepreneur is for entrepreneurs that are youth, defined as 39 years of age and under. WESC has programming as well as financing for female entrepreneurs in Saskatchewan. Startup TNT is newer to the ecosystem as well. They educate angel investors and then also provide entrepreneurs with access to angel investors. They have pitch competitions and all that to help fund those ventures. And then also, if you're considering starting a business in rural Saskatchewan, there's Community Futures. They have offices throughout the province to help you out there. I do have one last piece of advice, and if you were to take away anything from here, take this away, and that is there are always 3 questions that every entrepreneur should be able to answer in a 30-second elevator pitch, okay? And that is number 1, tell me about your business. Keep it brief and focus on the benefit to the customer, okay? Number 2, who is your customer? Everyone is not a valid answer to that question, okay? yes, you can sell to everyone, but you need to be specific as to who you're targeting. That's your target market. That's your target customer. Again, overall target market can be divided into market segments, but overall, you need to know who your target customer is. And thirdly, what makes you unique? What differentiates you? Okay, state your competitive advantage. People want to know this. So one quick example for you, Kinderbuzz Publishing makes life easier for Saskatchewan families by providing a central source of local information of all things family friendly. I told you about my business, told you who my customer is, I told you what makes us unique, that central source of information. And that is it for me. So I was over just by 5 minutes. Sorry about that, Merle.
I think we started a little bit late too, because we had some technical things going on. So yeah, it all evens out in the end. Thank you so much for a fantastic presentation. And what I'm going to ask those who are here is that if you feel confident enough to do so, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions, or you can put them in the chat, and I'll be sure to say them out loud and ask Jenelyn. But if you guys all don't mind, I'm going to start and get the ball rolling. Jenelyn, I don't know if you have this particular data on the top of your head, but I'm curious to know, of the number of businesses there are in Saskatchewan, and you really showcase, right from the, mom and pop grocery stores or something very small, all the way up to, large scale businesses. How many businesses in Saskatchewan sort of belong in what you would consider to be sort of small to medium-sized enterprise, or that, yeah.
Yeah, great question, Merle. So I actually do know the answer to that in terms of percentage. So 99% of businesses in Saskatchewan are defined as small, medium enterprises. So those are businesses that have 49 or less employees.
99%.
99%. Yeah, and that hasn't changed much in the last few years. Even with COVID, like small, medium-sized businesses, they make a huge difference in terms of our economy. So, I mean, you start out as a small, medium enterprise, right? And then you could potentially become one of those innovation-driven growth ventures. So entrepreneurs, they make a big difference in our economy. So that's why this is so important to have entrepreneurship at the university and to be able to build that even more so.
One of the things that I know that I've heard certain students, talk about, like, yes, there are students in Edwards who, clearly are, sort of immersed in business. But there are students, that are in veterinary medicine, for example, that they know that they're going to go out and they're going to start their own veterinary, shop, and perhaps in rural Saskatchewan, whatever. So they're also business owners, or someone who's, maybe graduating with a nursing degree and wants to eventually build or buy or take over, a home care business of some kind, or a nursing care business. And so the idea that only students in Edwards end up doing business, that is not true at all.
No, not at all. I mean, everybody has that potential to be an entrepreneur, right? It's just a matter of whether or not it's the right lifestyle for you, and also if that's something that you really want to pursue. But I would say Edwards is the business school, so they know in terms of the marketing, in terms of business planning and all that. But you know what? The ideas and that potential and that problem solving skills, that hustler, that hipster, that could be anybody in any of the other colleges. So really encouraging that that more people come out and get to know more other like-minded individuals who want to pursue entrepreneurship, because hey, that's the way that you might find your next co-founder.
I think that's brilliant. If there's any questions, please, as I said, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or put them in the chat as you wish.
Well, as we wait, Merle, I was going to say, I love your background. Very relaxing.
This came from last year's Images of Research competition. And so that's where I tend to choose my backgrounds from, is pictures that USask researchers have taken while they were out doing research. And yeah, I was presenting this morning at a national conference, and I thought, this will really emphasize that I'm coming at you from the prairies. So that was that choice today.
Mission accomplished.
Yes, exactly. Although I would prefer to see lots of rain clouds behind me dropping rain. That's what we need on our farm. That's actually an interesting. I never think of myself as entrepreneurial, but my husband and I actually operate a farm. So
You're
yeah,
not.
we're entrepreneurs. Speaking of
go.
risk, right?
Yeah. You're managing it all the time.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not seeing a lot of questions coming in on the chat, although I know that we've got a lot of students who are very interested in listening to you. Jenelyn, if you have one piece of advice for a student who's just like, I don't even know where to start, what do I do? I have this idea. What's the first thing that you think a student should be thinking about if they're thinking about entrepreneurship?
Oh, that's a tough question. I've answered this before, and it seems like depending on the day, I answer it differently. But the one thing, when you think about entrepreneurship, think about what is the benefit to whoever your customer is going to be. Like, again, it's that, what problem is it solving? That's what you need to answer. Because if you find the answer to that, then you're on the pathway to, entrepreneurship there. That'll get you started.
I really like that. A friend of mine runs his own marketing business in Alberta, and he talks about pain points. And he talks about those are the places where you need to make change, and those are the growth spaces where people can invent something that that solves that pain point and eases that friction, whatever it is.
Exactly, and they'll pay for it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. You take a look at the skip the dishes, right? Like, can you imagine, of course I live in rural Saskatchewan, so that's not a thing where I We do have 2 food trucks though.
Oh, there you go. I'll deliver for you one of these days. Great. Great. Sorry, Tara.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to cut anyone off, but I just had a question. I know in the last slide you had mentioned about, and I wasn't sure which one you had said. I was wondering if you could remind me how we could get information on like market research.
Yeah. So SaaS Startup Institute. If you just go, actually, I'll type it in here. SaaSstartup.ca is their new website. So again, they provide free services to anybody interested in entrepreneurship, and that includes access to their market research data, and it's very comprehensive data. I know because I've used it. I've had to put it together before too, and it's free. Again, as long as you're in Saskatchewan, and they give you information like competitor business listings, industry evaluation reports, all those things that we talked about in that market research analysis. They'll be able to provide you some data on that.
And for even further ideas about this, our entrepreneurship series next week is assessing a business idea using market research. And so be sure to sign up for that one.
Yeah, so you can go to SaaS Startup, get your market research, and then come to the webinar next week and find out how to use it.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Tara.
It's a fascinating space to be in, and an exciting space to be in. Jenelyn, do you want to tell us a little bit more about Opus?
Sure. So again, Opus is really, what we're trying to do is really prepare academic founders so that they can start ventures right here on campus, right? So really part of that, the REI and tech transfer, there's this approach to IP where it's inventor ownership and really supporting startups on campus. So this is part of the reason why Opus was started, because we needed to provide that infrastructure, that programming, that education to help support academic founders, such as the ones that are going into the pilot program that's starting in a few weeks. So really it's their opportunity to learn about the business side of things. I mean, a lot of these incubies is what we're calling them. A lot of these participants, they already have a very innovative product or new invention, right? But again, not necessarily don't know what the problem is that this invention is going to solve. So part of what the Opus programming is going to help them figure that out. So we are going to be providing some workshops, some events, some customer discovery sessions, so access to mentors, access to a network of advisors as well, coaches that have expertise in specific things such as marketing and sales and wellness as well too. So
sounds absolutely fantastic. And we want to wish you all the best with that. And we want to say thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Mel.